Good evening. Welcome back. It's so great to have everybody together again. It's not even funny. We didn't get to do one of these last year for COVID reasons, of course, so it's wonderful to be back doing this again. I've got some housekeeping chores to take care of before I turn it over to Gary to get started with the induction that I know we're all so anxious to get underway. The first, if Joe would put the house lights up for just a second, we want to ask our board of directors to please stand if they're here. That's Bob Marr, Chuck McMahon, Bob Thomas, Gary Ayers, Jamie Fisher, Boyce Dietz, Neil Blankenship, Sonya Blankenship, Danny Muse, Dan Treehern, Harry Birchfield, and Sarah Robinson are our board. So we thank y'all for everything that you do. They make this possible every year, so thank you so much. And in keeping with that just a little bit, if you wouldn't mind please joining me in just a moment of silence for our dear friend O'Neill Muse, who passed away since we last gathered together. So if you would now, just a moment of silence in O'Neill's memory. Thank you. The setup this year is a little bit different. Part of that's because of COVID. Part of it's because we have a new house director here for the Arts Center, and Joe Holt. He's done a wonderful job so far in doing some of the things that he set up for us. So due to COVID, we're going to do it just a little bit different than we've done in years past. I've explained it to the inductees. Gary's going to be up here, and he's going to talk about them, and then we're going to bring them up. They're going to say what they've got to say one at a time. So there'll only be one person on the stage at a time, and hopefully we can help keep everybody healthy that way. And on a side note to that, I think it's important for us to pass along to you from the board of directors that there's not a plaque to be given tonight. We are currently in the market of trying to find a provider for said plaques, and we think we have one. So as soon as we get those made, we will make sure we get them to you because you are so richly deserving of those, and we apologize for that in advance of not being able to provide that tonight. The other housekeeping thing is we're going to get 25 minutes halftime tomorrow night so that we can work this in. So inductees, if you will meet down around the 50 sometime when you're called there before halftime so we can get you recognized and we can get a homecoming queen crowned and all of that in 25 minutes or less. No pressure, Miss Blankenship. The other thing is if you haven't already done so, I urge you to take advantage of the brick opportunities that we have to, for lack of a better term, cement your name here at Swain High School on the Hall of Fame building, which still to me remains one of the best buildings in the state of North Carolina to honor its past and present players. If you haven't seen it in a while, I encourage you to get by tomorrow night and check it out. It is really spectacular, and I think you'll enjoy it. But if you'd like to get a brick, make sure you contact one of us. You can call us or drop us an email, and we'll take care of that for you. This class is a tremendous class. It really is. It joins a tremendous fraternity and sorority in already existing folks who are in the Hall of Fame. But what a class this is. It spans a lot of years, but the accomplishments in and of themselves are just outstanding. I'd hoped to be able to sit down long enough this afternoon to put some stuff together on the amount of all-conference and all-western and championships this class has won, but I didn't have that opportunity. But it's all in the program for you, and those programs are at both entrances if you need to get one at some point during this. And just a tremendous class. It really is, and I tell you, the one thing about each of the members of this is they were all passionate about what they did, and they were intense. I think that explains it for just about everybody in this class, a very intense group. And it's funny when you sit back and watch this over the years that when classes go in, a lot of times they kind of go together, believe it or not, and I think that's true of this class. So we, in keeping with our standing tradition, do have a video for you tonight. This is one of the rare times, believe it or not, that every one of our inductees had video. And we scoured the Maroon Devil Network archives and found video on all of you. And so we're going to have about a 13-minute video here. When that's over with, Gary will be up here and we'll get on with the proceedings. Thank you all for coming tonight. And by the way, if there's probably several folks who are not here tonight but still following along as we're live on the Maroon Devils Network as well. So we hope if you're out there looking in, that we appreciate you just as much as those folks who ventured out into this terrible weather that we've experienced. But now, Joe, take it away.
Association Championship. Look at that smile on Sonya Blankenship's face. Good way to start for her team as she tries to notch career win number 280 as a head coach.
And your head coach, Sonya Blankenship.
Lauren, only a junior, 27 RBIs, again, 38 runs scored. Last time we played Hayesville, she hit for the cycle. Ground ball to shortstop on to first. It's not in time. Lauren Manley beats it up for an infield single, and she is so fast. That's one of the reasons why she is a tough out, because she has Kayla Meyer is batting now. Throw on down to second base. Not in time. Gets to the outfield. Manley is going to go on into third easily.
Shot is good off the hand of Lauren Manley.
Went right between the block. Nice set. Actually, I think she might have gone over.
25, Lauren Manley.
is the Odell Award. I'm not even quite sure how long Mr. and Mrs. Odell has been doing this award. He collects articles through the newspapers, puts together a program for them, gathers all their game DVDs, and then he writes them a letter, and I'll let Coach Marr do this.
I really feel like this is a treasure. So the young man that wins this, I'm telling you, this is something special, something that you'll look back at years from now and really appreciate.
Thank you, Toby. Intense, I think, is a good word to describe a lot of the athletes that are going to be inducted here tonight. You could see the intensity in that video, and I don't know about y'all, but I could sit there and just watch videos all night. It's just so good. Thanks to Joe Holt and Kent Maxey and Toby Burrell for doing all the hard work and putting those together. And I only had one question. Mike Treadway, can your neck roll get any bigger? I mean, holy cow. But anyway, it is a special, special time. October is a wonderful month. I don't know if you realize how blessed we are. We have high school football now. Coach B, we are playing tomorrow night, right? It's been 2 weeks here. It was funny. I was driving in and I passed the activity bus going to Cherokee with the JV team on it, and I'm thinking, wow. I bet you Coach Blankenship is happy they're playing up there tonight, not tearing our field up tonight. So we're playing tomorrow night, hosting those Andrews Wildcats tomorrow night. I know COVID has kind of interrupted high school schedules. The last time I checked, I think there are only 4 or 5 high schools in all of Western North Carolina that COVID has not affected. So it's gotten most of us at one time or another. But a beautiful time of the year. We see God's handiwork out there as we drive around. Even in the rain, the leaves are starting to turn color. We live in the most, in my opinion, I'm prejudiced, the most beautiful area in the country here in Western North Carolina. And this time of the year, if you're a sports fan, is just fabulous. I mean, last night, if you're a Dodgers fan, a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. If you're a Cardinals fan, you're probably not happy, but that's the way sports go. And we have college football, we have high school football in high gear as best as we can. NFL, we have college football, we have even the NBA starting to start some preseason play, and then before you know it, college basketball next month gets underway. But it's just, if you're a sports fan, a wonderful, wonderful time of the year, and it's so good to be back here at Swain County High School. And talking to some of you haven't been back for a day or two. It's good to have you back here. I know some of you graduated here. Some of you played a lot at the, or played a little bit maybe at the old school, but it's just a wonderful feeling to have you back, because you truly are family in the way we look at things. But let's get things underway, and our first inductee here tonight is going to be Mr. Vernon Odell. And Vernon, an avid supporter of Maroon Devil athletics, particularly Maroon Devil football. For over 20 years, Mr. Odell presented an award at the athletic banquet, as you heard Coach B and Coach Marr talk about, to one Maroon Devil football player. The player was always handpicked by Mr. Odell and was usually someone who didn't get much recognition throughout the year. But the award was a scrapbook of all the articles about the season, as well as video of every game. Along with the award always came a challenge to the lucky recipient to follow the path of Jesus Christ throughout their life, which, coupled with the lessons learned in athletics, would always help the individual live their very best life. Mr. Odell's handcrafted award was one of the most coveted awards given, as you heard Coach Marr talking about that, and everybody looked forward to that, and that was a very, very special award that Mr. Odell put together. Now, Mr. Odell can't be with us here tonight, but his son and daughter, I believe, are going to be coming up, so if Will and Katie would please come up and receive this in his honor here tonight.
Well, as Gary said, I'm Will, and many of y'all know me. I can't see any of y'all for the lights, but that's okay. I'm hoping that picture is still up there because a lot of you that know my dad, that's how you know him. He was a mountain of a man. He's full of love. I absolutely loved this community, loved this school, loved the sport of football, and loved passing that on to the younger generations. He's not able to be here tonight, and I'm hoping actually that because of this, maybe someone will get the urge to pick up where he left off. He's not able to do the scrapbooks anymore. But it's an award that, as Gary mentioned, was quite coveted. The young men that I've heard of and spoken with, their parents, they were very appreciative of it. And again, I just probably going to start a fight here, but I've got the greatest dad in the world. Anybody that knows him, you know who he was. The power's still there, and it's just that the rest of the body is failing. Many of you, as a young man, if you had the opportunity to meet him, he'd grab your hand, and if you had a ring on that hand, he would break that hand. He can still do that, actually, but that's about the limit of his strength. One thing I do want to leave you with, because as he mentioned when he presented the award, he would challenge the young man to live their best life for Christ. And the final letter that the Apostle Paul wrote was to his protege Timothy, who was preaching on the Isle of Crete in the Mediterranean. And one of the last things he ever said to him was that, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. And that's what my father has done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. No doubt about it, your dad was a bear of a man, and I still remember some of those bear hugs. He was just the kind of guy that everybody liked. I have a memory of Will. He'll probably shoot me for saying this, but I've got a little story I think about every inductee. When I was a neophyte announcer at WBHN, I didn't know very much. I was young and not very bright, but it was in March Madness, and the Louisville Cardinals were playing. Well, like I say, I didn't know very much, and so on the radio, I was calling them Louisville, and I think it probably irritated Will, because I got a call from a very nice gentleman on the phone who was Will Odell, and he says, "Look, it's not Louisville." I said, "Well, how do you say it?" He said, "It's Louisville." And I'm like, "Okay." Then I asked him, "Well, how do you know that?" He says, "Well, I used to live there." So believe me, I took his word for it. It's not Louisville anymore. It's Louisville. But Will, I don't know if you remember that, but it's funny the things that you remember. Moving right along in our next inductee, and we could talk about all these inductees for a long time. Toby Burrell told me to keep my comments to under 30 minutes for each inductee, so I'll try to honor that request here tonight. But Sonya Cook Blankenship, wow. I mean, that's probably the way to describe her accomplishments. Wow. She was a 1990 graduate, head volleyball coach from 1996 to 2013, played 4 sports at Swain, excelling in volleyball and softball. A 2-time All-Smoky Mountain Conference selection in volleyball, softball, and track. Went to Lower Rhine on an athletic scholarship for volleyball and softball, a 3.5-year starter at LR team MVP in 1993, LR leader in hitting percentage for 3 years, second team All-South Athletic Conference in 93. As head coach in 2008 here at Swain County High School, her volleyball team won the high school's first ever female North Carolina state championship. The team finished with a 30-1. Yes, hey, applause, 30-1 overall record. That deserves some applause. 30-1. Sonya was the Smoky Mountain Coach of the Year 8 times. From 2004 to 2008, the Lady Devils won 5 straight Smoky Mountain Conference regular season and tournament championships. Did not lose a single conference match during that 5-year run. Think about that. Let that sink in. Did not lose a single conference match during that 5-year run. Set and broke school records for wins in a season 5 separate times. Won 20 or more matches 7 times. In 19 years, compiled a record of 351 wins, only 127 losses, with 8 Smoky Mountain Conference titles and 6 Smoky Mountain Conference tournament titles. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonya Cook Blankenship.
Good evening. What an honor it is to be here sitting with that caliber of athletes. And Mr. Burrell, I'm not sure that you noticed, but I don't think we really worried about the COVID protocol because we're all sitting right there together. I am humbled to be here tonight, to be selected for this honor. Any of you who know me, I'm still given to this school. I love this place with every fiber of my being. I do feel a little old though, having half of that group right there, either I taught or coached, so it's definitely making me feel old. And Mr. Burrell, I'm not real sure how in the world you found video footage from when I played, because I wasn't even aware that we filmed games back then. So, and by the way, if Coach Barrett, if you are listening or watching this, I am so sorry, because that was absolutely horrible form. Terrible. You know, when I sat down and started thinking about this award and what it meant to me, 2 words came to mind. And those 2 words were blessed and grateful. Because you see, this journey to this moment in time for me isn't about me. It's about all the people who helped me get here. Because without them, I wouldn't be standing here. I want to begin by thanking my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, for allowing all of these people that I intend to mention tonight to cross my path. I am truly blessed and forever grateful that these people have been a part of my life. And so tonight I want to use my time to honor those folks. To my parents, the late James and Deanie Cook, who taught me first to love and trust my Savior, they also taught me the value of hard work, perseverance, and sacrifice. They led by example in our home, and they sacrificed so much time and money for me to live out my dreams of playing college volleyball. And while my family isn't perfect, I do believe that I have the best big brother and sister in the world. So thank you, Dwayne and Angie. And to all my family who are here tonight, I just want to say that we may not be perfect, but we know how to love ferociously. My husband, who is truly my better half and has made me a better version of myself, and has always, and I do mean always, challenged me in many ways, but he's also challenged me to think about things from a different perspective. So Neil, honey, I love you, and I really can't wait to retire with you in a few years so that we can make up for all the time that we lost, spent on the time doing what we love to do, which is give to this school. My children, only one can be here tonight. One has COVID, unfortunately, in Raleigh, and so prayers for him would be appreciated. And my daughter is actually over in Hayesville playing volleyball tonight and couldn't be here. So Cameron, thank you for being here. And they are my gym rats. You know, they've had to share their mom with hundreds of other young people throughout the years, And while it may not have been a choice of theirs, they've honestly always worked to understand that coaching and teaching were truly mine and Neil's calling. And the reality is this: my kids grew up around some of the greatest and most positive influences that they could have ever had in their lives. To my sister Angie and my mother-in-law Nana, without them, I definitely couldn't have been able to do that job for so many years, because they stepped in and helped us take care of our kids while we were coaching in the same season. I used to kid everybody. Our kids were orphans in the fall. They were single parents during the winter when Neil was coaching basketball, and then they finally figured out what it was like to have two sets of parents at home in the spring. So, but I do appreciate all the people who stepped in and helped us with them. To my longtime assistant coaches, Janet Schuler and Tiffany Walker, you know, they weren't only the best wing women that have ever been. We genuinely had an amazing working relationship. Janet has always been the calm voice of reason, and Tiffany is definitely the small stuff organizer to a fault. But together, we were such a great unit, and I think that we did a really good job of demonstrating what success looks like for a cohesive coaching staff. And both of them were fiercely protective, not just of me, but of what our program stood for. So thank you, Tiffany and Janet. I am forever grateful for our camaraderie and our friendship and the support you gave me for all those years. To all the players that I've ever coached, you're the people that made the job fun. You're the reason that I'm standing up here. You were my why. I loved watching them grow from scared little girls to very strong, confident women. It's funny, when I talk to them now, they only seem to remember the times that I was really tough on them. But for me, I remember a lot of the other stuff. One time I had one of them actually tell me that when they were delivering their child, they honestly thought in their head, I'm going to envision Coach B standing in my face, yelling at me, telling me that I can do this. I'm going to take that as a compliment, but, you know. So they just, you know, it was fun. They were funny. And the influence that they had on my life and the impact that they had, because I took something from each one of them and learned to make myself a better person from that. Even those that challenged me, and there was always at least one on the team, and there were years that there were more, but I definitely have taken what they taught me and made myself the person that I am today. So thank you to all of my players that have ever crossed my path. To Coach Barrett, I can remember being a sophomore in high school, and this young, tall woman, young girl, came into the gym, and we were all like, who is that, you know? And they were all like, that's your new volleyball coach. And so she got out there, and she could absolutely hit the crap out of a ball, intimidatingly so. And so we were all just like, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But what she brought to Swain County High School at that time was a fire and a vigor for life that was contagious. And to all of my former players, I promise you she was scarier than I was. But she taught me how to play a game, and she created a passion inside of me that forever changed the course of my life. And she has remained a true friend and confidant for my entire adult life. When I went on to college, my coach, Melina Helton, was probably one of the greatest teachers of the game that I've ever been around. She could take any skill and break it down to its absolute bare bones. And so from her, I learned how to be a teacher of the skill. And I definitely feel like that was part of my success. You know, there's been a lot of other people that have come along and had a big impact on my journey. There were coaches, and I can actually go all the way back because he's here tonight, the first PE teacher that ever made me realize this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life was Doug Plemmons. He was my PE teacher in the 4th grade. And then along the way, I've had Coach Frank, Coach Jay, and then there were some other coaches that had a big impact on me. Coach Burrell, Coach Dietz, Mr. McKinney. I still can't call him Coach McKinney. All of them had an impact in directing me to become a health and PE teacher and to be a coach. So to all of you, thank you. It takes a special kind of dedication to commit to the lifestyle of coaching because you have to sacrifice a lot of time away from your family. You have to put up with constant criticism from people who don't ever know the whole story or see the whole picture. You spend too many hours on an activity bus, and you're basically dependent on the performance of kids who are from the ages of 13 to 18 without fully developed brains for your success. But for me, guys, it was all worth it. All the rewards that I came away with have definitely been worth it for me. And while I don't always remember the crazy stories that the girls like to tell about me, I do remember the fun and good conversations, the long bus rides, the camps that we went to, the friendships that were developed first between the players, and then after they graduated, I can call many of them my friends now. And all those moments of excitement and celebration. And I'll be honest with you, I did not realize that I had been doing the fist pump since I was playing in high school, but when I saw that clip, I was like, dang, I've been doing that for a long time. And of course, I'll never forget all the amazing moments that the state championship season brought. And I could talk about that forever, but Bob Marr told us we were on a time limit, so I won't. You know, I get asked a lot of questions from people. Who was the best player you ever coached? Who was the best setter you ever had? Which team was your best team? But the one question I get asked most frequently, and especially over the past 6 years, has been, do you miss coaching? And I think I shock a lot of people because I always say no. I don't miss coaching. I miss the relationships that I had with those girls, but I don't miss all the other because it was definitely time for me to move on to a new phase of my life. But I am grateful, and I am grateful for the opportunity that I was given to impact the lives of young people. And I am blessed to have crossed the path with so many amazing people. So I want to thank everyone who played a part in me getting here at this moment in my life. And thank all of you for coming tonight in this horrible weather. And God bless each of you.
Sonya, I think you took my glasses. Oh, here they are. My bad. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you're like me, but when you get older, you have a pair of these like everywhere, like in the car, in your pocket, on your nightstand, where you watch TV. And you can't function without glasses, but thank you, Coach Blankenship. By the way, talking about Coach Blankenship, I've had a conversation with Mr. Mark Sale. We've been on the phone with Nick Saban, Deion Sanders, and that Aflac duck. We're trying to put together a coaching package to lure you back into coaching. What do you think? You have any eligibility left for coaching? We'll see if we can work that out and put together a package. But what an outstanding record as a coach and a player. Mr. Trey Burns. Wow. What an outstanding athlete. Played 4 sports at Swain High. And if you notice, there's a theme with the inductees this year and so many athletes in the past that we don't see much of anymore. You don't see many athletes playing 3 sports, especially 4 sports, like these incredible people sitting in front of you did, like Trey Burns. And they excelled at all 4. Trey was All Smoky Mountain Conference in football as a junior and a senior. All Smoky Mountain Conference in basketball as a sophomore, as a junior, and a senior. All Smoky Mountain Conference in baseball as a junior. A member of the Smoky Mountain Conference Champions baseball team as a sophomore. A member of the 2001 North Carolina State Champion football team, as you saw in some of the video. A member of the 2000 North Carolina State runner-up baseball team. That's right. 2 Western Regional Championship teams, baseball and football. Finished his football career with 206 tackles, 12 fumble recoveries, 87 career receptions for 1,081 yards and 12 touchdowns. In basketball, Trey had 452 career assists and that sweet three-point shot, averaging 5 assists per game for his career. And what a career it was. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Trey Burns.
Thank you. Coach Treadway was giving me a hard time about having some paper. It's not the program. I actually learned from Miss Odell and had my own thoughts, wrote my own thing out. So it is my own thoughts, Mike. So I've got 2, not 5. I first want to thank the Hall of Fame for this recognition. It is a true honor to be regarded with the likes of Johnny Buck Mitchell and Stephen Cook and Coach Phil Brittenall. And there was a guy that played that was okay. Heath Schuler, him too. And that's just to name a few of the great recipients of this. And along with the induction class of 2021, it really is a true honor to be inducted. I also want to thank Josh Marr for nominating me. He and I have been friends for years, lifelong friends, so I want to thank him for the nomination. It also goes without saying that this would not have been possible without great coaches and great teammates. The only individual sport, which is not really individual, was golf that I played, so the teammates and coaches that I had is one of the reasons I'm here tonight. But when I think about this honor, I think about what playing high school sports meant to me. Of course, I love to compete and share success and heartache with my teammates, but to me it was a deeper feeling, one that I truly wouldn't understand till I grew older. You see, high school sports to me, as I grew to find out, helped shape the person I am today. It taught me how to lead, it taught me how to follow, it taught me how to work in a group setting, how to be humble in victory and gracious in defeat. I truly am indebted to Swain County High School sports for helping to shape the person I am today. When Coach Batillo would insist that we pick your knees up when you ran to get water, it instilled in me to remember the small things. As we labored in the hot summer sun during two-a-days, while Coach White politely told us how we were doing, taught me what real work ethic looked like. There were many a day I came home from baseball practice with bruises on my chest from Coach Steve Manley's infield drills. Now that I think about it, that really didn't teach me anything. That just kind of hurt. What was the point of that, Coach? I don't know. I'll talk to you later. I also learned when pushed to your limit while running ladders with Coach Frank Manley that you can always give a little more. Yes, I attribute a good amount of the success I have today in my life to the invaluable lessons that I learned while here at Swain County High School. As the program moves forward, it is important to remember our roots. Remember the ones that came before us. Remember our core values. All programs go through periods of wins and losses, strong years, rebuilding years. But the athletes that are here in those times are giving their best and then some. And they deserve our best and then some. It's an equal partnership through the good and the bad. It wasn't always the wins, even though those were the highs, that taught me valuable lessons. So let's remember that there's an athlete out there giving their all, even when it doesn't reflect on the scoreboard. And they deserve our attention and praise too. Furthermore, we need not forget the hard work that our coaches put in and week out. I myself had the pleasure of coaching here at Swain County High School. During my senior year, I tore my ACL. Coach Frank was there, was at Rosman, went up for rebound, came down, heard it pop. During that time, I was obviously out for about 6 months. I helped Coach Burrell coach the softball team, which was different for me in itself, coaching females. Sorry, I don't know how you did it, Coach B, Coach Sonya. I also was an assistant coach on the 2004 state championship football team. With firsthand knowledge of the time and effort that is put forth, I ask parents to be gracious and understand that we as coaches have the best in mind for your child. So when I hear the statement, "Why are you running up the middle again?" Well, that's because during the 30 hours of film we watched this week, we found that the tackle, when shaded to the weak side, has a tendency to shoot the gap, leaving him on the island while reading him as a 3 technique. I'm sure you all understand that. A healthy program, to me, is a mutual respect and effort from all involved. I know we will continue to strive to achieve that as we give our best and then some. Throughout my career, I've had several funny stories, and I want to share a couple with you. One was my junior year of football. We had Polk County at home. I think it was the end of the third quarter. We were driving, scoring, and Coach Manley, Coach Steve called a quickie, just quick pass. I caught it, kind of came around the corner. The corner came to tackle me and kind of tripped me up. And when I did, I caught myself with my elbow. Well, he had me better than I thought, and I rolled over my elbow. When I did, it popped out of socket. So my bone here was coming out my tricep, not impacted yet. So I go to the sidelines, show Coach White. I think I broke my arm. And if you know Coach White, he doesn't like any stuff like that. So he just shoved me over to Coach B, and was sitting on the bench with a dislocated elbow, and something just about it felt funny, and I started to pull on it, and I just jerked it. Well, it popped back into place. So I was sitting there, we scored, and I think we were up a touchdown. Well, all of a sudden, like Coach Frank, I think, had ran across the field, got an ambulance over there. He saw what happened. Well, poor Coach Collins, Coach Chuck Hatton. So he came up to me, and we were going on defense, and he thought I was just being lazy. So he came up to me, and he said, "Are you ready to go?" And I was like, "Am I? I don't know. I saw my bone in my tricep. Should I go? Should I not? You tell me. I don't know." I didn't go. I got a cast on, but that was a funny story. Another quick story was we were headed to regionals. Coach Burrell, Coach Jeff Payne. This was before golf was cool. We were in vehicles, no bus. So I was driving. We were in the front. There's somebody in the back. We had hit a cardboard box and didn't know it. So we were pushing this cardboard box. Well, all of a sudden, I think Coach Burrell came up beside us, like waving, and we were waving back, like, "Hey." They're like, "No, pull over." We'd pushed that cardboard box so much it caught on fire. So we were pushing a box on fire on the way to the Western Regional Golf Tournament. Needless to say, we pulled over and stomped it out. The last quick funny story I'll tell you was, before I finish and conclude, was, like I said, I was blessed enough to coach in the 2004 state championship game. Well, it was at NC State, and they were under construction at the time. So it was myself, Coach Jeff Marr, and Coach Travis Stevenson were up in the box. So it was a tight game, and we were on plywood with scaffolding, basically. So I don't know if you remember that game in 2004, but there was like a muff punt. We recover it like with a minute left. Well, we all jumped up and celebrated. When we did, we all three fell out of the back of our chairs and about fell off the scaffolding at NC State, and probably would have had a lawsuit, but we didn't. So some great stories that I feel like are funny stories, but like I said, something that's helped shape me of who I am today. But in conclusion, I'd like to thank my family, To my beautiful wife, Lauren, thank you for listening to my Remember When stories. It's not that I want to go back and relive those days, but like I mentioned earlier, they had such an impact on my life. To my son, Knox, understand that when I push you, it's not because you aren't good. I just know that you can be great. Lastly, I want to thank my parents. The time and money that you guys spent on me cannot be overstated. From burgers for the whole team at our house after each football game, to the thousands of dollars of pizza you donated to the concession stands. You truly invested in me, and that I'm grateful. I also want to thank you, Mom, for never letting me beat you. Your competitive drive and spirit has been instilled in me, and that is why I'm here today. Once again, thank you so much for this recognition. It's a true honor, and it's blessed to be here. Thank you so much.
Trey, you probably remember this. I can't remember exactly where we were, but it was in the state playoffs, hole number 10. And we were playing somewhere downstate in the state playoffs. And I remember it was so cold that night because we actually were on top of the press box, our broadcasting crew. We were on top of the press box because there was no room inside the press box, and we were freezing. But I distinctly remember one of the receivers for the other team came across the middle of the field, caught a pass, and Trey Burns just destroyed him. This poor receiver never saw that freight train coming that was number 10, and that's one of the hardest hits I've ever seen anywhere on any high school football field. But Trey, you may remember when it was, where it was, but I remember that poor guy had a tough night after that because you just wiped him out, no question about it. Okay, as I was thinking about some of the things involving the Hall of Fame tonight, I just kind of did a little math. And to let you know how far we've come since we've started the Hall of Fame in 2002, 57 athletes, including the athletes that are inducted here tonight, have been inducted into our Hall of Fame. 16 patrons, including Vernon Odell. 13 teams have been inducted. And some very special people that I just want to bring to mind here tonight. We have 5 coaches and 7 athlete/coaches. The 5 coaches, Coach Boyce Dietz, who couldn't be with us tonight. I know Coach Dietz would love to be here. He's really been fighting COVID. He's through that. I think he's improving, and I know he would appreciate the prayers. Coach Dietz is one of our all-time greats, obviously. He's one of those 5 coaches. Pee Wee Jones, Mr. Bob Reed, also the late Oz Waters, who we miss greatly. And of course, my sidekick on Friday Night Football broadcast, Coach Rod White. All those coaches came to Swain County High School, and they've made us all better in their own special way. And then there are 7 athlete coaches who played here at Swain County High School and gave back. And that is truly special. One of those we just heard from in Coach Sonya Blankenship, who played and coached. Phil Brittenall Jr., remember, some of you, of course, he played a long time ago, but an outstanding coach and an outstanding player. Coach Bob Marr played on some really good teams and was one of our best coaches ever. Just an outstanding person as well as an athlete and a coach. Manley Painter. If you've ever been to Lenoir-Rhyne or know anything about Lenoir-Rhyne, like Coach Blankenship talked about, and I know Jenna Marr's down there now, Manley Painter is a very special name at Lenoir-Rhyne and is very special to us here at Swain County High School. A guy who's sitting way up there up top was an outstanding athlete, coach, and still is Mr. Doug Plemmons, was an outstanding player and coach. And then people like Anna White Shields, outstanding athlete and coach. And many of you remember Carol Wright Jr., great player, great coach. And I just want to say thank you to those people, those coaches and those athletes/coaches that have made us all better in your own special way. And let's give those people a round of applause here tonight, if you would. I know some of you couldn't be here tonight, but I hope you're going to be watching on the Maroon Devils Network. And again, thanks to Toby and Joe and Kent for putting all this together. And let's keep moving right on down this list of outstanding athletes to Katie Keim. Katie was a 2002 graduate and played 3 sports at Swain County High School and excelled in all 3 with a sweet 3-point shot. Record-setting basketball career where she was a 4-year starter. Katie was a key member of the 1998-1999 Smoky Mountain Conference champion Lady Devil basketball team that finished 18-8. Katie was a 2-time All-Western North Carolina selection, 4-time All-Smoky Mountain Conference selection. Katie was selected to the Blue-White All-Star Game. She was the only female ever selected to the East-West All-Star Game down in Greensboro, North Carolina. Quite an honor. Katie finished her basketball career with 1,286 points, 493 assists. She was a 73% free throw shooter and a 32% three-point shooter as well. Katie made 208 three-point field goals and was just outstanding in the sports she had played. Now, Katie can't be with us tonight. I hope she's watching and enjoying this broadcast on the Maroon Devil Network. Katie is actually traveling to a friend's wedding in England, and I hope she's enjoying her trip over there, and I hope she's watching. And just a couple of other tidbits. As I mentioned, I always think of something that you remember about each player, each coach, each athlete. And I remember that a good mutual friend told me about this, that Katie was actually the babysitter for Coach Mike Krzyzewski's daughter. That's right, one of her claims to fame. She babysat for daughter Debbie Savarino, Coach K's daughter, and Katie credits Debbie with the launch of her business while at Duke, because Debbie hosted Katie's very first trunk show at her house. And we all know that Swain High athletes are very special, very awesome, and very talented. Well, I just found this out today, and I think you'll join me in congratulating Katie with a great round of applause. Katie just got accepted into Harvard Graduate School for a master's degree in journalism. Let's all give Katie a great, great round of applause. Wow, Harvard. And you know one great thing about Harvard? Actually, their color is very close to maroon. It's just, it's a beautiful thing at Harvard. But congratulations to Katie Keim and her induction here tonight. We wish her the best in safe travels in England, and we wish her the very best at Harvard Graduate School. That is quite an honor indeed. All right, Lauren Manley. Oh, I haven't played the video? I'm sorry, my bad. Let's roll the video.
Hi, this is Katie Keim. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there to receive this award. It means the world to me. It's really an honor. I am in an airport, and I'm hoping there's not crazy noises in the background. I'm flying to see a best friend get married in England, and so was very disappointed about the timing, but just wanted to say congratulations to all the other recipients. Thank you to the board of directors and everyone involved in this process. There's not really anything that I think is not any single one thing growing up in the foundational years that impacted my life more than Swain County sports. And I can say that wholeheartedly. It taught me everything. Hard work, discipline, teamwork, that you always have way more inside of you than you think you do. It also gave me kind of a family outside of family. Neil and Sonya basically raised me. And it's hard to put into words. So I just wanted to say thank you to every coach that ever coached me, teammates, just the whole program. I think what Swain County Sports does for every athlete that comes through that program. Most of the coaches will never know, and I feel like I'm one of those. So thank you so much, and again, I wish I could be there, and I hope it's a great night.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Katie. Let's give Katie another great round of applause for her outstanding accomplishments and her induction here tonight. All right. Now can I do Lauren? Can I move on to Lauren? Okay. Talking about a family tree, Lauren, you were an outstanding athlete, and you have an outstanding family that have been so supportive of your many accomplishments. Graduating in 2009, playing 4 sports at Swain High, excelling in volleyball and softball. 2008 state champion in volleyball. Wow, 2008 state runner-up in softball, all-state softball in 2007 and 2008. 3-time all-district in softball, all-Western North Carolina in softball and volleyball. 6-time all-Smoky Mountain Conference. Just outstanding, 3 in softball, 2 in volleyball, 1 in track for those 6 all-conference awards. Lauren, your teams, as you know, won 9 Smoky Mountain Conference championships. 2007 champion in the 100-meter dash. That's why she got to first base so darn fast. They couldn't throw her out. In 2007, set the North Carolina all classifications record for hits in a softball season with 59. In softball, her teams won 4 Smoky Mountain Conference championships and advanced to North Carolina State Championship Series in all 4 of her years. Those were fun times. Finished her career with a career batting average of .528. Had 319 kills during the state championship volleyball season, and was a finalist for the Mountain Amateur Athletic Club 1A, 2A Female Athlete of the Year, and was a Wendy's High School Heisman finalist. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Manley.
I can guarantee my speech is not going to be as long as everybody else's. But first, I do want to say thank you for being nominated for this, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is a very big honor. I'm especially honored to go in with my aunt. She, along with the rest of my family, were some of my biggest supporters. I never could have gotten here on my own without them. My dad, my mom, my brother, who never missed any of my games, whether we were celebrating a win or a really long, quiet ride home after a loss. I knew no matter what, I had a huge support system that would never let me fail. That also includes my papa. He rarely missed my volleyball or softball games. He made the trip to Walnut Creek numerous times to watch us play softball, and to North Carolina State to watch us win the 2008 state championship. With today being his death date a year ago, I just find it appropriate that this is the day that my aunt and I are being inducted, because I know he had a part in that. Sorry. Not only did I have amazing family support, but coaches and teammates as well. Like Coach Burl said, we were intense. I also felt like my coaches were intense. If you messed up, nobody was gonna pat your back and tell you that it was gonna be okay. They made sure that you knew how you messed up and expected it to be fixed. And I still to this day appreciate that intensity, because they knew we were capable of achieving whatever we set out to do. My teammates knew that the coaches we played for, Coach B, Coach Burl, strive not just for greatness, but perfection. They expected us to be our best and then some. And like I said, I'm still thankful for that today. I'm also thankful to have played along some of the greatest teammates I've ever had. Some who are already in the Hall of Fame, some that are not. Either way, they all played a huge role in my high school sports career. People like Sarah Davis, who, when I was a freshman, took me under her wing and showed me the ropes. I strived to be like her because she was also intense. And teammates like Kayla Myers, who would push me to be better daily, or be there to make fun of me daily. She was also the first person I looked for after we won the state championship volleyball game. I was jumping around super excited, and she was flat on the floor. Couldn't find her. Didn't know what happened to her, but she literally melted. But overall, I am thankful for the opportunity I had to play and be a part of Swain County Athletics. The good times, bad times, all the times, I'm forever grateful for what I took away from this school and the sports. Thank you.
Now, Lauren, I have a question for you. Did you really get your speed from your brother or your mom? Because I don't think it was your dad or your Uncle Steve. I just wanted to nail that down here tonight. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But what an outstanding family that is still giving back to athletics in so many ways, and we appreciate, as you can see, the support that your family brings to the table here tonight, and it's so good to see. Now, for a special little tidbit here, I'm not forgetting the video, am I? I don't want to mess up here again. At halftime, the score was tied. The halftime sermon was intense and motivational. The third quarter was scoreless. The team and the crowd seemed to be waning in strength and energy. Silva's size and strength seemed to be wearing down our smaller guys. Tony Plemmons, our quarterback, was a small fella, but as tough as a bobcat. Unlike many quarterbacks, he liked to run, to hit, and be hit. As the fourth quarter began, we had the ball. Tony took off on a run and got hit hard on the play. After the Silva players got up, Tony didn't. He was writhing in pain. We had no experienced backup quarterback. After a collective groan, the stadium went deathly quiet. By instinct, I found myself sprinting toward him, followed closely by Coach Dietz. By the time we got to his side, Tony was sitting up and leaning forward. He was holding his right hand across his left shoulder, his left arm lying limply in his lap. He was moaning in pain. As I, Dr. Walt Larimore, knelt at his side, I said, "Tony, it's Dr. Larimore. What are you feeling?" "Doc, I think my shoulder's broken. I can't move it." With one hand, I was instinctively feeling for his pulse, which was normal, while running my other hand up his jersey to the shoulder. The clavicle was intact, but the ball of the shoulder was prominent, and he yelped when I palpitated the rotator cuff. I knew what it was, and I knew what I had to do, but I had to act quickly before the shoulder muscles began to spasm, which would only make the pain greater and the treatment more difficult. "What is it, Doc?" asked Coach Dietz, now at Tony's other side. "Think we're fine, Coach." I was trying to reassure him, and me too. "Tony, I need you to lie back." He slowly lay back, moaning from the pain of the sudden motion. I could hear a hushed groan from the crowd as they saw him slump to his back. "What is it, Doc?" asked the coach emphatically. "We need to call the paramedics? You need Doc Mitchell?" I didn't have time to explain. My mind was racing. I could hear Gary Ayers the next morning. Swain County had a chance to win the game until the newest doctor in town broke the quarterback's shoulder trying to treat a simple dislocation. Pete Lawson's headline in the Smoky Mountain Times would read, "Perfect record given to Silva by an inexperienced team physician." After the game, Coach Dietz commented, "We'd have won the game if only I had called Dr. Mitchell out of the stands to care for our quarterback. Now we've lost him for the season." I could feel the cold sweat dripping down my forehead and was hoping no one would notice my trembling hands. "Tony, let your arm go real loose. Don't fight me. I need you to trust me, okay?" "Okay, Doc, just get me better, will you?" "I will, Tony, I will," Dr. Larimore said, trying to reassure us both. "Hold on now. If my diagnosis was correct, what I was about to do would cure him. If I was wrong, if his shoulder was broken, what I was about to do would not only make things worse, it would put Tony in even more pain." With him now relaxing, I moved quickly. In less than 1 or 2 seconds, I was able to abruptly perform a simple manipulation of his shoulder and arm. Both Tony and I instantly experienced relief as his dislocated shoulder moved back in place. Tony's eyes widened and he beamed. "Pain's gone, Doc, it's gone." I breathed a huge sigh of relief. "Sit up, Tony. Let's get you to your feet." As he rose, so did a crescendo of applause from the crowd as they saw him swing his recently crippled arm. The stadium erupted. The ground shook. The referee stepped in. Coach, you're going to have to sit him out for a down. No problem, no problem. As Tony ran off the field, the stands erupted again. Their hero appeared healthy. Coach and I walked off behind him. Good job, Doc. I handed him 2 Tums. He smiled and trotted ahead of me. I felt like I needed at least 2 myself. After a quick check on the sideline indicated that Tony had suffered no nerve or blood vessel damage, and after a single play by a scared-to-death sophomore quarterback executing his first play before his entire hometown, Tony hurried back onto the field. His dislocated shoulder was just what he, the team, and the crowd needed. Silva didn't stand a chance. The junkyard dog was out of the pen. We scored 3 times in the last quarter. The opposition never even got close to the goal line. As you know, that's from Walt Larimore's book, Bryson City Tales. If you've never read it, you should. That's one of my favorite parts. And I thought it would kind of fit in with Mr. Tony Plemmons, who we're recognizing here tonight. But Tony was a 1983 graduate and obviously was here when Doc Larimore was. Played 4 sports at Swain High, excelling in all 4. All Western North Carolina in football as a senior. Smoky Mountain Back of the Year in football as a senior. Smoky Mountain Player of the Year in basketball as a senior. He did it all. Silver Holiday Tournament MVP as a senior. All Smoky Mountain Conference in football as a junior and senior. All Smoky Mountain Conference in basketball, sophomore, junior, and senior. Finished his basketball career with 1,746 points in 77 games. Scored 610 points as a senior and 512 as a junior. Hit 81% of his free throws, which is almost unheard of these days. As a quarterback, he threw for 1,171 yards. Tony holds the record for the longest punt in a game with a 64-yard punt. Holds the highest punting average for a season record of almost 45 yards with 10 punts over 50 yards. He went to Western Carolina University to play football, transferred to Brevard College for basketball, and then finished his basketball career at Limestone. And we had the joy of watching all that great athleticism. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony Plemmons.
Well, I'm not very formal when it comes to these kind of things. I had a degree in psychology, and somebody asked, why don't you teach a class? And this is the reason why I don't teach a class. So I just stayed in the ISS room dealing with, those kind of people. I would like to thank the committee, but first thing I want to say is some of you guys have got kids growing up looking to be, players and that type of thing, and I want to leave you with this, and I'll come back to it. Practice with a purpose. You have to practice with a purpose. I want to thank the committee for selecting me. I want to thank my coaches. I want to thank my teachers. I saw Dan Treherne up there. Dan, I appreciate you be the only person that failed me. I appreciate that. But it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson. Oh, I saw Mr. Thomas up there. Mr. Thomas, I want to thank you for walking up to my desk and folding a piece of paper. And when I unfolded that piece of paper in your English class, it said, "Do you really need to cheat?" So, I want to appreciate that. That taught me a lesson too. Teammates, unbelievable. Unbelievable. What we bring in Swain County is second to none. I coached against Swain for 26 years, and if somebody'd say, what's up? I'd say, for 2.5 hours, I wanted to beat their tails. But after that 2.5 hours is up, I still believe in Marine. And that's just the way it is. I just want to thank everybody in the community. You know, I want to thank Buford Smith for shaving our heads when we were seniors, because that was team bonding. I want to thank just everybody I can think of. I don't want to leave nobody out, because that's the thing you fear up here, is you just don't want to leave nobody out. But I just want to, you know, I'm just humbled and appreciative. Now, family, this is where it's at. Mom and Dad, unbelievable. All the Heinz sports, every one of them. You got a dad who was a lineman for the telephone company. I don't think he stole it, but he brought a football, one of the lights on the football field, and that's what he put above our basketball goal. And so you'd walk, you come 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and me and Wally and all of us would be out there playing basketball. Brought a tire home, set it on the bank, so I could drop back and pass, and I could try to hit that hole in that tire to make my, you know, didn't complain when I draw a square on the concrete, take a tennis ball, try to pitch that ball right in that square, and of course with a tennis ball it comes back quick, so you're able to work on your grounders too. Practice with a purpose. My brothers. Mike was a little older. He's 10 years, so he was pretty much out of the house, but Doug was still around. He was still there and that type of thing. And this is what I'm going to get at. I can't remember hardly a time when we would go out and we'd throw football. That's all we did. That's not what we did. We would put our hands over here, we'd put our hands down here, we'd put our hands over here, because we were practicing with a purpose. Basketball. We go out and play. We don't go out there and shoot. We go out there to see how many we can get in the basket. Do not leave that court until you get 100, 200 shots up in the basket. You got to practice with a purpose. And I want to thank Doug for that. We got lots of whippings, because I couldn't understand why he would steal a ball from me all the time and why he would block my shot all the time. But you know what? He knew they would make me better. He knew that he would make me better. And I want to thank him for that. Y'all did stories, so I'm going to give two quick ones. Coach White, Rod White, bless his heart. When he come was when he was still in, I wouldn't call it in the player mode, but he still was close. So one day we was doing bull in the ring, and we was not doing it to the standards that Coach White thought we should be doing. So what does he do? He goes over, he grabs the helmet from one of the players, puts the helmet on, snaps the chin strap. Well, I had Ron Spates on this side of me, and I had Jeff Ward on this side of me. And I looked at both of them and I said, now dadgummit, if he picks us, we're going to rock his world. So sure enough, he done his little chopping and stuff like that, and he did. He picked us all three, and we popped him good. Well, make a long story short, when we come back to practice, the next day, Coach White was black and blue all the way down his arm, because he was in the player mode. That was one story. The other story was Coach Dietz had a red Volkswagen back in the day. And I had played baseball. Coach Dietz was a baseball coach at that particular time, and I had played baseball since I was a freshman. So my senior year, I wasn't getting the amount of attention I thought that I could get in basketball. So I wanted, in the springtime, to work on my game, go to these area colleges. They had tryouts and everything like that. So I elected not to play baseball after I'd played for 3 years. Well, one day I come out of the field house, and Coach Dietz said, come here. So we got to talking, and one thing led to the other. But to make a long story short, he and I wrestled all over that Volkswagen that was sitting there. And he finally got my attention enough to where I come back out and play. So that's just a couple of stories. It's been so long ago since I had been here, since I don't do a lot of thinking of, back when I played. You talk to some people and they can tell you every minute, every down and everything like that. But truly, I bleed maroon. I coached against them for 26 years, like I said, but when I go home, I want to see what Swain does. I want to see, that's what kind of aura that this county and this program and this high school has. Again, I want to thank y'all for everything, and God bless you.
And family means so much. Doug and Tony, I can still see Bill Plemmons sitting up there in the bleachers at a basketball game with that baseball cap cocked back on his head, screaming at the officials. I can still see him. But a wonderful family that gave us so many wonderful moments as a broadcaster watching you guys play. I can still remember Doug and Nick Searcy having a shootout over at Franklin High School one year in the Smoky Mountain Conference Tournament Championship. Wow, but again, we could go on and talk memories all night, but they're all very special. And then we come to this guy with a big neck roll. And I think he was right. I was talking to Mike Treadway before the program got underway, and he said, well, the highlights on my video are going to be short because they've shown all three of them on Facebook already. I only had 3 in my entire career. But Mike Treadway is a special guy. He graduated back in 1988, played 3 sports here at Swain County High School, and in football he was all Smoky Mountain Conference and all Western North Carolina his senior season in both football and baseball. Was a member of the 1985 state 1A championship football team. Member of the 3 Smoky Mountain Conference championship teams, football 85 and 87 and baseball in 87. Was a 3-year starter in football, named All Smoky Mountain Conference as a junior and senior. Mike recorded a career high 17 tackles in a win over Robbinsville during his senior season. He hit .340 with 5 home runs and also was a great pitcher with an ERA of only .96 with a 6-0 record as a pitcher his senior season. Mike signed a full grant and aid to play football at Mars Hill College and played football at Mars Hill, where he was named a captain, and that's always a great honor. And one thing that I've really enjoyed about Mike Treadway, he is still giving back. He has 2 things I think you have to have as an educator and as a player and as a coach. You have to love kids and you have to have a great spirit. And I think Mike Treadway has that. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Treadway.
Could have walked on up. I didn't have more lines to tell. Get in there, baby. Whew, good gracious. Thank y'all. Thank you to the committee. Thank you to Coach B, Coach Burrell, for the nomination, however that went. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. I would tell you that when I received a notification of my selection, I was speechless, which most of you sitting out there know me, you know that's kind of difficult to have happen. But I'd be fair with you, when I think about the Hall of Fame, it's kind of like thinking about our program. It's a special thing. It's a special thing to me. Coach Bob Marr gave a speech one time when he was superintendent, and he talked about the 3 F's: your faith, your family, and your football. Yeah, he took some grief for that, I know. But I'll be fair with you, for me, as a young man, as a boy, I grew up in a time where you wanted to be a part of the maroon machine. You know, I always looked up to my brother Wally. If y'all didn't know, I was a little bit of a baby too. So I'll end up crying a good bit. Thus the neck roll, Gary. Tori asked me why I had all the pads on. That's why, sweet girl. I always wanted to be able to grow up and live up to what I saw. What I saw from my brother, what I saw from my coaches, what I saw from my program. I wanted to be a part of that. As a kid, I wanted to be a part of that. As I got older, I wanted to represent that. So when we talk about folks in our lives, and we've all touched on that, some of you much more eloquently than I ever would, those are the folks that make the difference. And I do worry about leaving out names because they all impact me profoundly. Coach Dietz, Coach Marr, Coach Manley, Coach White, my brother Wally. You're talking about people that touch your life. They don't just coach you as a child, as a kid, as a young adult. They're not just making a living. You know, Sonya, she touched on that you're making your living based on the performance of a 13 to 18-year-old. Truthfully, I felt like they were investing in me as a young man. My mother, God rest her soul, she felt that the same way. She felt like Wally and I needed to be involved. She always talked about being a single mother and how difficult it would be without a positive male role model. At the time, of course, I didn't know what that meant. What I knew is I had Coach Frank Manley, I had Coach Marr, I had Coach White teaching me how to fly fish in his yard. I had those people in my life, and for me, that's what this program was about. I couldn't tell you that I had 17 tackles anywhere. I couldn't tell you that any of those things about myself. I suppose that's why when I got my letter, Coach Brawl brought me my letter, that I was speechless. Because to me, I'm the absolute epitome of this program in that I'm not special. I tried to do the job that I was coached to do, the way I was coached to do it, every time. I wanted to be a good teammate, and thank the Lord, I was blessed with wonderful teammates. You know, I saw Will Odell here tonight, and I reminded him, I have the picture of us in the state championship game in 1985, and according to Coach Marr, Will's making the perfect tackle, and I'm cleaning up the slop. I don't know. It's probably true. You know, we watch my highlight clip, and Coach Marr starts coaching me again. My eligibility's up, Coach, but I appreciate it. And, you know, I see Chuck Rochester in that picture, and I don't know if y'all remember Chuck or not, but he's about this tall. When I was a sophomore on that 85 state championship team, I was so fortunate to be able to play and start and contribute, but not without having to fight Chuck Rochester every day at practice because he's a senior, I'm a sophomore, and I need to learn my place. For y'all, just to remind you who I am, I'm not really good at staying in my place. A little too much mouth sometimes, a little too much. Wasn't that what you were talking about? I know. Well, Chuck knew that too. So every day he tried to whip me, and didn't try, he usually did. If it wasn't him, it'd be Tony Brown or, you know, Alvin. He'd knock you down. But the list can go on of the great teammates I had. You know, I see the clip on Facebook, and I don't share that out because to me, I would be bragging on myself. I shared y'all's out, by the way. Good job. But I look back at the comments, and I see people like Buzzy Brown weigh in, and of course, it's congratulations, but not without putting a Mikey on the end of it. Remember that, Coach Marr? I know you do. That was my name, Mikey, because again, I wasn't very tough. I'm still not. But I was so fortunate to be able to be on teams with fellows that could really play. And to be able to come together in a cohesive fashion that allowed us to be successful. I don't know about the wins and losses. Coach Frank could tell us that, but we were really successful. You know, we were able to take something, or I was able to take something with me that I took to Mars Hill. Because there again, I wasn't very good at Mars Hill, I didn't think, but they invited me to play, and thanks to Coach Blankenship, Coach Neil Blankenship, and Wally, because I was scared to come home, I stayed. You know, and was able to enjoy that same type of success. Now, my good friend Dr. Steve Glenn and his wife, they're with us tonight. They came up to support me, and I really appreciate that, Steve. They came from Greenwood, Abbeville area in South Carolina. He reminded me the other day, he comes up and we go past Polino's and eat and make merry. He reminded me we weren't very good. I couldn't tell you our record, folks, but I would tell you that the relationships I forged with my opportunity there is just like it was with our program here. That's what I take away. The wins, the losses, the tackles, the interceptions, the being a captain, the being this, the being that. I don't remember those. I remember my teammates, and I remember the good times we had. I remember the heartaches we had. I remember my coaches, Coach Tom Weaver at Mars Hill, Kevin Barnett, Felton Stevens. Those are the same fellas. They're cut from the same cloth as our coaching staff was here. And they invested in me as a young man. So as I've gotten older and I've faced some challenges in life, most of them self-inflicted, as y'all know, I had that foundation that this program and those coaches at both levels, that they instilled in me that I could lean on and I could draw from as you weather life's storms, because we all face those. And this program, more than once, has brought me back from a very dark spot. And I'm thankful. Again, I don't know that I'm Hall of Fame material, but I certainly am thankful to be able to represent this program, this institution, this county. I thank my family for being here, for supporting me. Tori came home from school. To Nathan's credit, he wouldn't cut class tomorrow, so he won't be here till tomorrow night. My wife, Regina, she supported me when I was coaching. Now that I'm back to principaling, she supports the hours that requires. And I'm just really thankful to be able to represent our program and this school. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Mike. Talking about a Mike Treadway story, he and I shared a couple of CrossFit workouts and a couple of events over in Haywood County, and I've got to tell you, Mike is as strong as a bull. I mean, I was over there struggling with a weightlifting bar with one plate on each side of the bar. Mike's over there with a bar with 5 plates on this side, 5 plates on this side. I'm like, gee whiz, I would be young and strong. But Mike Treadway. But what you guys were saying, they were all 10s. Okay. But just to echo what you were saying, and I think it's so special that you mentioned your brothers, because I remember Mike Plemmons, who made Doug Plemmons better. I remember Doug Plemmons, who made Tony Plemmons better. I remember Wally Treadway, who made Mike Treadway better. And if I can say one thing to all you inductees, and I think I can say this on behalf of some of us older heads and some coaches and maybe some people who aren't as involved day to day with coaching and playing. You make us proud to be Swain County alumni. You make us proud. You make us want to stay involved in what we do in our roles here with the Swain County Schools. What you have done in the past as a player and as a coach, I can tell you, you make us proud and you make us want to stay involved and keep giving it our best and then some. So thank you, and let's give all these inductees a great round of applause. And now, Coach B, Coach Neil Blankenship, please come down. He has some closing remarks. And again, we hope you're all going to be there tomorrow night. Rain, snow, sleet, or shine. We're going to take on Andrews tomorrow night, right up here on the hill. And come on out and join us. It's going to be a special night. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, if you want to start heading down. First of all, I want to thank this board, but I also want to thank the past board that started this vision. What we have is special. The building we have, we have our own building for our Hall of Fame, and there are colleges and places that don't even have that. And there are people that come by here and look in that place throughout the year that I let them in, and they're just amazed at what we have. So to this board, thank you for all your hard work for tonight, but the past board for this vision is impressive. To this class of 2021, some of them I've coached, some of them were in school, one of them I'm married to. You know, they're special to me, but when we talk about intensity that this group had, the passion that this group had, and they stood with our motto, our best and then some, all of these recipients put in the extra work, the extra shots, the extra time in the weight room. When Doug and Tony come through, I wasn't around then as much, but Coach Waters told us every day in basketball how many shots y'all put up. So you were still passing on lessons to us on if you want to be great, you got to put in that time. From the Swain County High School Athletic Department, just want to say congratulations to y'all. Remember, we will honor you again at halftime tomorrow. We are going to play. I don't care about the weather, the field. We've been out 2 weeks. It's time to play. So we are going to play. At this time, Mr. Thomas is going to sing our school song. So if y'all would stand, congratulations, class 2021.
Correction, I'm going to lead you in the school song. Oh, wow. This was another one of those wow evenings. Early on, our inductees were my heroes. Even today, you're still my heroes. I'm proud to bleed maroon and white. And I try to keep one tradition alive, and that's the singing of a school song. Our local county officials saw fit to get a maroon and white garbage truck, and I had the room that spotted it first, and so that was our cue. And not too long ago, I pulled up to Bojangles, and I guess the person recognized my voice or something, but over the intercom, Swain High. So probably didn't teach a whole lot of English, but at least we learned the school song. So let's reminisce and sing it tonight. Ready, ready? Boy, that was great. Ready, ready? Okay, let's do it. Swain high, we ever praise thy nobleness, and we have for thee a feeling we can ne'er express. Thou art majestic, Swain high, 'neath the Carolina blue. We salute thee, Swain high, and to thee will e'er be true. With colors of maroon and white, with standards always for the right, we hail the alma mater and sing praises that are due. Thank you. Pictures. Great job as always, Bear.
I always forget something. I forgot the video of Katie Keim since she wasn't up here.